Hi everyone, it is April from Getting Hooga With It. I am back and the break was good for me. The break was good and I really want to thank you guys so much for being so supportive, and I felt a lot of love for making the decision to have a little breather from YouTube. I realized that I hadn't taken any break from YouTube since my miscarriage, which was a couple of years ago now. So it was good to kind of step back and pause and have some time for reflection. And actually it was really good. I came up with some good ideas and I was able to sort through like the relationship that I want to have with you guys, the relationship that I want to have with my Patreons, and it really helped me. So that was good. So two things in particular came from my break that affect us. One of them is about my Patreon book club and some exciting things that I do want to talk about in this video. The other thing is about comments. And how I'm going to deal with comments. As you know, the reason for the break was essentially me having a hard time with some of the comments that I was getting as I am talking more and more about racism, anti-racism, Black authors, all of those things. And I was having a really hard time navigating the comments, and so I've come up with, I think, a good solution. And that solution is I'm going to start addressing some comments in videos. I mean, most of the comments I get are just lovely, or I get a lot of questions about reading and that kind of thing, and then I do get some more comments that like require discussion, and I think I want to address those kinds of things here. So in this video a little later on, I am going to go through some comments and reply this way. It's more intimate and personal, I think, so I'm excited about that. First, I do want to talk about my Patreon book club. Okay, so originally my Patreon book club was just 4 times a year, and we would talk about a book via a Zoom meeting 4 times a year. And I just wanted more. This is totally selfish of me. I really enjoy my discussions with my Patreons. We chat about what we're reading on the weekends, and I just want more. And so I've decided to make it monthly with a caveat. So here's how it's gonna work. Every month I will choose a theme for our book club for that month. And then I'll gather a bunch of books that go with that theme. I'll dwindle it down to 2 books, and then my Patreons will choose from those 2 books. We'll read what book we choose, and I will do special spoiler-filled vlogs about the books that we choose. So for example, in August, we're reading the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I will be reading that and then vlogging my way through with all sorts of spoilers. And I've never done that before in any of my vlogs, I don't think, where I've been reviewing books, because I don't want to ruin it for anyone. But if the whole point is that we all read it together, it works. And I'm really excited because there have been so many times where I wanted to gush about certain things, certain twists and turns, and now I'll be able to do that. So every month I will do a spoiler-filled vlog, but then 4 times a year we will have Zoom meetings as well, because I still want to see people in person. I think doing Zoom meetings every month would be harder, you know, just schedules and stuff. So that's the big change, and I'm very, very excited about it. I think it's just going to make the Patreon group even better. So that's good. I haven't even really thought about September and like a theme for September, but I will start thinking on that. I will do a video for you guys, probably monthly, where I kind of go through the theme and dwindle it down to 2 for my Patreons to choose. So you'll know what theme September is. And if you want to join in for the August one, for the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, I mean, you are more than welcome. I'll have my Patreon linked in the description box below. So that's the news about the book club. Moving on to comments. I put up a little post not recently anymore, a little while ago about why I had to disable comments for my white fragility vlog video. I wanted to just kind of clarify that here because I got, I think, some misunderstanding on people's parts about that. You know, one person said that it was authoritarian. How do you say that word? In any case, you know, I'm not running a country here. I'm running a little booktube channel. But I wanted to address why I disabled comments. I had been deleting multiple comments, but I want to make it clear what was going on. I was getting comments on my white fragility vlog that was saying that White Fragility, the book, was anti-white, that it was essentially created to make white people feel guilty, that systemic racism didn't exist, and they were just far right comments. As you guys know, I made a decision here on my channel to make the Getting Hooga With It community an anti-racist community. And all of these suggestions were not okay with me. And I was going ahead and deleting those comments because I am trying to protect my BIPOC subscribers and just all of us. And I couldn't keep up with the level of comments of those natures on that video. I couldn't keep up. Like, I go to sleep sometimes and through the night I was getting a lot and it was just too much, so I disabled the comments. That said, I want to make it clear that the comments that I was deleting, that I have been deleting, are not comments where further discussion is needed. I don't delete those comments. I certainly do not delete any comments. I didn't delete any comments on that video where, you know, anyone was saying, hey, I'm struggling with white fragility because it is problematic towards Black people. There is the use of the N-word in that book, in quotations, but a lot of people who were listening to it on audiobook were having a very difficult time because it's a white narrator saying the N-word, and it just didn't sit well for a lot of people, and I can understand that. And I would never silence that. I would never silence my BIPOC subscribers on anything on this matter. Like, no. I was specifically blocking and deleting comments that were flat out racist towards Black people. That said, I have had a little time to think, and I do get a lot of comments from people where they are responding to these videos. I'm doing more videos about racism and race and the importance of reading diversely and that kind of thing. I get a lot of comments from people that I think just require like a deeper discussion, and I feel like I can do that better this way than this way. I don't know how often I'll do this kind of video. It might be once a month. It might be once a year. I don't know. But I thought that we could go through some comments. Some of them are, you know, more serious, and then some of them are quite light. So it's a nice little mix. Let's start with something light and lovely. Okiki asked, do you do book reviews for authors? And I've never done this. And I think what she means is, do I do reviews where I talk about one author? I don't think I've read enough of one author's works to do this. Although, now that I'm saying that out loud, I could do a Gillian Flynn video where I go through all of her books because I've read all of them. I'm very close to having finished all of Kate Morton. Maybe I could do this. So definitely an idea. Let me know in the comments below if you would like me to do something like that, and I will consider it. Okay, so now we get into more deeper discussion kind of comment. So I did a video where I looked at my Goodreads for the last, is it 4 years? I think it was 4 years. And I looked at how many authors I was reading throughout the year and how many Black authors I was reading throughout the years. And I realized that I could really diversify the books that I read. And so I got this comment. This is absolutely ridiculous. If you read a book, you read it because you find it interesting. It doesn't matter which nationality or race the author is. Nobody should read Black authors just for the purpose to read Black authors. So first of all, mood reading really is a joy. I love mood reading. I love going to my shelves and just picking up what feels good to me in that moment. So I do understand the joys and benefits of mood reading. I also don't think performative allyship, if that's a word, I don't think performative allyship is in any way good. Like, if you are posing and being like, oh, their eyes watching God, like, oh, then, and you're not reading it, or you're reading it just because you want to say that you've read a Black author, no, I don't like that. That's not good, and that is certainly not what I am doing at all. But I think that you really are missing out if you are only reading white authors. White female authors, white male authors. If you're only reading whiteness, there's an issue. First of all, it's interesting that the majority of the publishing industry, like the vast majority, I think it's 80 to 90% of the publishing industry who decide what we read are white people deciding. And that in and of itself is an issue. I also think that you're really missing out on some pretty amazing characters if you're not reaching for Black authors. Black authors can write about the Black experience much better in my mind than white authors because it comes from personal experience a lot of the time. And not that their writing is autobiographical, but you know what I mean, hopefully. And I think, considering that our world is very much revolving at this moment, hopefully this changes, at this moment, our world revolves around white narratives. That white narratives are the norm. And that would be reflected back to you if you're reading only white authors. That white narrative is the norm, and Black narratives or Indigenous narratives or Asian narratives are not the norm and are outside of the norm. I think that in and of itself needs to change. Also, you know, we all say as readers that readers are more empathetic, but if you are only reading white authors, who are you empathetic towards? I think picking up authors of various races and nationalities will make you a more empathetic person to different races and different nationalities. Oh, this is a really good tip. Sarah said, I'm not great at waiting for books that have been released in the UK to come to the US, so I just order them from Book Depository. Free shipping. This is a really good tip, and I don't know why I haven't done this before. Liz Nugent, for example, is she a UK author or like I can't remember where she's from. Over the pond. And there have been so many books that have been released in the UK by Liz Nugent, but not here in Canada or the US. So I could just buy them on Book Depository and get them when I need them, which is always earlier when it comes to Liz Nugent. So that's a really good tip that I really liked. Thank you, Sarah. And then Lizette wrote, hello from a fellow Canadian. I have only ever read Kate Morton's Clockmaker's Daughter and didn't like it. I was hesitant to try her other books, but now think I should, since you said you didn't really like it either. Which one did you like the best of hers? So yeah, I didn't feel very strongly in a good way about The Clockmaker's Daughter. I thought it was just okay, and I like her other works much better. I started with The Lake House. This was my first of hers, and I really enjoyed it. You're not going to deal with so many timelines and so many perspectives that was in The Clockmaker's Daughter. I think there are just 2 timelines in here. I also loved The Secret Keeper. Both of them were good. I think this, in terms of the historical timeline, is in the 30s, and this one is right in the middle of World War II. And this had portions about the London Blitz that felt so vivid and so real. So I would start with either one of these. You can't go wrong, in my opinion. And Sue wrote, great list. I am missing Frida so much. Still haven't found anything that really scratches that itch. Have you read Death at la Finance? It's a series that takes place in Venice. It gave me similar vibes. I love his interactions with his family. I haven't read that. So she's referencing the Frida Klein series by Nikki French. I think there's 8 books in this series. I've only got 2 left, and I am like very nervous to end them because it's the first series is not police procedural because Frida Klein is a psychotherapist. She just happens to get involved with a lot of mysteries throughout the series. But yeah, it's kind of hard. I haven't found another series because I think I've decided that every year I'm going to start a new series and try to complete a series. But I've got Kate Atkinson's Jackson Brody series on my shelves. I've got the start of a Karen Slaughter series on my shelves. I'm super curious about Attica Locke's series. I think the first one in that series is Bluebird. I think Jen Campbell is like on the hunt. I think she's gonna hook us up because I found out about the Frida Klein series through Jen Campbell, and she is busily searching for kind of a replacement. Yeah, I do want to check out the Death at la Finance series. Finis? I don't know how to say that word. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I am kind of leaning towards trying the Kate Atkinson series next year because I just love her writing so much. So here's another comment that is a bit more serious. This comment I got after I put up my video where I said, if you don't like me talking about George Floyd, if you only want me to talk about books and not talk about the injustices that Black people are dealing with in the States and well everywhere, please unsubscribe. I got this comment. Why don't you move into a majority non-white neighborhood instead of just talking about something you know nothing about? If you want to help yourself in understanding not only by just reading or watching YouTube, a real life experience would be very helpful. I have, and I'm better for it. That's what allies do. First of all, I do have to say that I found it a little snarky. I found it a lot snarky. And I also think and have learned that being an ally is something that you do not name yourself. This is not something you bestow upon yourself. This is something that you earn over a long period of time through your actions, through your words. So I don't know who has decided that you are like the supreme ally. That said, a little background about me and where I live. I live in Canada. I live in the suburbs just outside of Ottawa. And I live in a neighborhood that is majority white. There are certainly Black people here. There are certainly Asian people here. There are actually quite a few different races in my neighborhood, but I would say the majority is indeed white. That said, you know, I did think about this. Like, even though it was snarky, I did think about this comment. And I'm not really sure what me moving in particular would do to help this neighborhood. In this neighborhood, I have reached out, you know, those like community groups where people ask like, hey, do you have patio stones that are lying around? I'd love to pick it up. Pick up your dog poop. Those like community Facebook groups. I posted on there and said I would like to start a book club, like a read along to read White Fragility. And I was definitely met with some crappy answers from people. But I also met lovely people, and we created a little separate group on Facebook. And we are reading White Fragility together. I've already finished it. But we are doing that, and I really, really appreciate it. One of the people in that group actually teaches anti-racism. I can't remember which university it is in Ottawa. In any case, I'm super excited to meet her once this whole pandemic thing dies down. You know, I guess to me, I feel like white people are the ones that need to change and need to self-reflect and need to be comfortable getting uncomfortable with themselves and the biases that they might hold, the opinions they might hold, and we're the ones as white people who need to sort that out. And so I don't understand why me leaving this neighborhood would, like, if I am bringing up to these people like, hey, this is an issue everywhere, let's do something about this, let's do the self-reflection as white people. I don't know what me moving is gonna help. I am curious about what people think about that. I don't have any plans to move anytime soon, but that comment did make me think. Didn't enjoy the snarky though. Got a comment that said, short book recommendations, please. Absolutely. I'm not going to go into them too much, but I would recommend The Lost Orphan. All of these are under 300 pages. The Lost Orphan by Stacey Hall's kind of gothic, absolutely wonderful new release. I'd also recommend The Secret Life of Bees, absolutely perfect for the summer. Such a good story about, well, such a good feminist story with amazing female characters. And then I'd also recommend Their Eyes Were Watching God. This is an absolute classic. I love Zora Neale Hurston. I've only read 2 of her books, but she was absolutely gorgeous. I hope that helps. And then I got a question from Ashley. Just curious, what do you do with the books you get rid of? I'm unsure of the best place to unhaul. It's kind of hard with the pandemic. I would usually unhaul my books and donate them to my local library because they resell them for like $1 or $2, but all of that money would go back to the library. So it's kind of my way of donating to my library. So if your library is open and they do take donations, I so encourage you to do that. Otherwise, I bring them to Value Village. I kind of try to I've avoided unhauling because I really want to donate to my library, but we'll see what I'm forced to do. It depends on how long they're closed for. I miss my library so much. I can't even tell you. Kara wrote, I'm wondering if I should try the cup of TBR. I have never once stuck to a pre-planned TBR. I am the quintessential mood reader, and making a TBR always turns out to be a waste. But if I pull out my favorite genres, authors into the cup, just maybe. How did you decide what prompts to put in? First of all, totally do it. I love doing the cup of TBR every single month. I got a lot of my prompt ideas from Codie, from Codie's Book Corner. I think that's the name of her channel, and I'll link her below. She does the wheel of TBR, which is very fun. She made her wheel, and I was like, I'm just not that crafty, so I'm going to do a cup instead. But all of the prompts, or many of the prompts that I created, were from that. Couple of suggestions. What I do for all of the prompts is I don't force myself to read just one book. I'll like take out a prompt and choose like 3 books for that prompt, so I have lots of choice. I also don't recommend, you mentioned if I put all of my favorite authors in. I wouldn't do that because it's so specific. Like, I don't always want to read Sue Monk Kid, and I don't always want to read Paul Tremblay. So I wouldn't do authors just because that would narrow you down. And considering you're a mood reader, just keep it open. Allow room for cheating, essentially, is what I am imploring you to do. Okay, 2 more comments/questions. This next one was actually kind of interaction, which I'm going to stop doing so that I can do more of these kinds of videos. But here was my interaction with someone who had watched my White Fragility reading vlog. She said, I haven't read this book and probably never will. I personally don't read nonfiction. Fair enough. But all races can experience racism and colorism. An anti-racist book can be written by any race. And I wrote back, white people don't experience systemic racism though. And she wrote, I do enjoy your channel, so I hope I'm not coming across in a negative light. But I do disagree. Here in the UK anyway, people are turned down for being white for jobs because companies are told or feel they have to employ a certain amount of Black or Asian people. It shouldn't be that way. If any office wants to hire only white people because they are the strongest applicants, then that should be okay. If another office wants to hire only Black people because they are better for the job, then that should be fine too. So all races can experience systemic racism, but in different ways. I hope we can get to a point where people can hire who they want and not fear being called racist. You know, at the end of the comment you said, I hope we get to the point where people can hire who they want and not fear being called racist. For me, I hope that we can get to a point where BIPOC people are not overlooked because of their race. There's been an incredibly long history of Black people being overlooked because of their race. They're not even, you know, they send in their resumes and they're not even considered because of their race. There are so many Black people who to this day are being paid less than white people, and then also experience racism at work. In terms of systematic racism, it's really important that we're clear about what that is. Systematic racism is ingrained in society. White bias is ingrained in our whole society, including the workforce. Allowing white people to get ahead and not allowing Black people to get ahead has been something that has been happening for centuries, decades, centuries. And so to me, and to my mind, companies who make the decision that for themselves and for their companies, they are going to hire more diversely, I actually think that's a really good thing. I think it sounds like these companies are looking at their workforce and their employees and going, probably what happened was they were like, there are a lot of white people here, and this doesn't reflect the country that we live in. It doesn't make for a very diverse workplace. So to me, I don't think of that as a bad thing. I still don't think that there is systemic racism against white people. I just don't think that that's a thing, at least not in a Western society. I can't even think of where systemic racism toward white people exists. Really don't know. Okay, and then the last question here is from Hope. And she asked, how do you juggle the books you want to read versus the ARCs and other books that are sent to you for review? Do you ever feel pressured to get things read, I guess, by their release date? Okay, so I feel very lucky that I am sent ARCs and I am sent books for review. For the most part, those books are chosen by me and I request them, or there's a list that a list of books that publishers are willing to send out as ARCs, and I am the one who chooses for the most part. And so usually I'm really excited about the books that are sent my way, and like I have no problem picking them up. Before the release date, however, that can be difficult. I'm not perfect at that. I really try to, but sometimes life happens and it doesn't happen. So I really do try to, of course, talk about them here, and you know, I always haul my books, and so there's that. But yeah, for the most part, I don't really have a hard time with it because I'm so excited about the books that I'm receiving anyway. Yeah. So I don't feel tons of pressure. I just feel really excited and really lucky. Speaking of, tomorrow is a haul. I'm coming out with a video for you guys of a big old haul that I did, and you'll have to excuse some of the language in the haul because I think I talked about like the reading rush and stuff like that, and what I was gonna read for the reading rush, and yeah, that's already happened. The reading rush is, I filmed it pre-break, so there is that. In any case, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you get excited about the book club. You join the book club. That'd be lovely. I also hope that you can understand and have a better understanding of what was going on with the whole comments thing for me. And I hope that you will understand that for me, a lot of the time, responding this way is going to be much better and will be happening instead of writing back in comments. I just think I'll have more time to reflect and then respond. And yeah, I also hope that you can understand that I will be deleting any sort of comment that is in any way racist toward Black people or anyone who's not white, you know, that's gonna happen. So there's that. I hope that you guys are doing really, really well. In the description box below, there is my Goodreads, there is my Instagram, my Amazon wish list, my Patreon page. I hope you're doing well. And I'll see you tomorrow with my haul. Bye, guys.